You want to know why they talk about it and about
Well,
having infusions and
no,
things of that nature?
no. I want to just clarify one thing. So everyone on Earth is already hybrid,
Correct.
and the Gertfritnir have been harvesting DNA from Earth and selling our DNA to other race lines to improve the emotional IQ in other race lines, because that's one of the qualities we have on Earth at this time. So we're increasing their emotional IQ, and that goes across the board, doesn't it? Like Pleiadians, Zirians, it's
Well,
like
yes. What
en
happens is
masse
this: they
all
take
together.
they take the specimen, the DNA specimen, they make it into a serum. They make several different kinds of serum, not just one, because one serum will not fit all. One serum will be for Yu-Gil, one serum for whatever beings. But and when they give this serum to these beings, it improves their not only their IQs in some ways, but it also affects their DNA, because that's what it is. It's a serum that will give them a better system so that they can be healthier and grow better. Many of the aliens out there that are using this serum have become fully logical and unemotional. They have evolved beyond uh, their logical point of emotion. They cannot use emotion to make decisions any longer. And so they need this serum to become more balanced. Their immune system also is affected. Their immune system becomes a little stronger. And so the serum is used for many different reasons, not only just emotional IQ. That is one of the features of it, is that emotional IQ becomes stronger, but it also helps with immune system deficiencies. When there are some very gaunt looking aliens out there, very thin. They don't look like they're very healthy at all. I'm sure you've seen pictures. This helps them to get a better immune system, to nourish themselves a little better, and to think a little better, because being purely logical is not logical. You need emotions to make um, well rounded decisions. Without emotions, you can not make well rounded decisions. Yes.
Um, this DNA on Earth, is everybody on Earth like capable enough to have this high enough DNA to make that serum from, or do they have to like scan certain beings that have more or less of
You're
it?
not everyone on Earth is uh, at the point where they can make a serum from. That is
So
correct.
they scan the good ones and the bad ones and take the
Well, they take
test the
all
test.
samples,
Uh-huh.
and they do check all samples. They don't scan ahead of time. They just ask people to give samples, just as people on your planet would ask for a blood drive, and they would go give their blood or whatever. And then they would weed out the blood that is A and O and all that.
Okay. Because
Well, that is what they do as well.
I
They
think
will take a sample of a very small sample of blood and see what kind of DNA is in it. And if it's able to be made a serum out of, then they will put it in that category. If it's not, it will be disposed of. Or it can be used to make hybrid children. But not all that, but some blood is not even capable of that. So, because it would not make a good hybrid child. So, some of it is actually disposed of.
has there been a hybrid child created from me?
No, not without your permission.
I did give them permission. I just wanted. Did
Oh, well, I will check and find out then,
anything ever happen?
because yes, it probably did. I'm surprised. Did you ever ask about it before?
That was a long time ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I gave Gert Footnear the permission to do that. I did it on an
All
online
right.
session thing.
Well, I will check with them because there are, believe it or not, there is more than one hybridization program. Gurkviknir is one, but there are several in the universe. So hybridization programs are rather common out here in the universe or universes,
So
but
who
the
else is
ones
doing
that are highly regarded are the ones that are well functioning and highly respected. So some of them are a little bit rogue, but the one you gave to was Gurkviknir, and they did. I would imagine they did make a hybrid child. Did you ask for a specific species?
No, there was just a call to anybody that wants to give their DNA, and I said, yeah, please allow them to use my DNA. I just said that. That's all. I don't know who was listening. I think it was on a session when I said it.
All right. I will check with them and let you know next time we get together.
And I'm just wondering, so if they had taken my DNA to make a hybrid child, and then that serum or DNA is given to someone in another race line off of planet Earth, how is the child born? How does the child get back to Earth? Is
Okay.
it born
They
through
take a
mommy?
piece of your DNA, perhaps an egg or something from you. They put it inside of a female of another species, along with the male from the same species, her husband, whatever. And the three of you will have a child together. When that child is born, it will have features from you and the race line. The reason why the father and mother both have to be part of that is to stabilize the process. And so, as you give your portion of DNA, their DNA works with it so that it's all balanced, and the hybrid child is then born, and usually a 95 to 98% of the hybrid children are more advanced than those that are born without the hybridization method. That is also a very positive thing because many of these children are being trained to make a better universe. At least they think so, yes.
And how do they get to Earth? So if they're being born through someone in another
They do not get to Earth, they're out here. They're in colonies and different places. There are some hybrid children that are born on Earth, but those are not the same thing. Those are not hybrid children from people that are donating their DNA from Earth. They're people that are donating their DNA from out here to there. And that is a little bit more rare, but of course, there are many hybrids on your planet, of course.
So there are some people on Earth who have been given DNA from a Pleiadian, and so when they have a child on Earth, that is the hybrid child they're talking about. The children
Correct.
born on
They're
Earth.
called crystal children or indigo children. They're the ones that are born with higher IQs immediately and are having trouble. Many of them have trouble because when an indigo or a crystal child is born, they feel a great disconnect from this density because they've come from a higher density. Their DNA is not actually Earth driven exactly. And so they feel very much disconnected and have trouble functioning at early ages. But many of them come into line with their and understand what is happening with them, but not right away.
And this has been going on for 20 years at least, hasn't it?
More.
Back back to 1994, isn't it?
Before then,
Oh, even before then.
it goes back to the 60s.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Probably 63, 64, somewhere in that area, they started to do some of these things more often.
Okay. So there have been Pleiadians being born on Earth for a long time.
For a long time.
Uh,
But just it's been stepped up in the 90s. That's what you're thinking. In the 90s, a lot more hybrid children were born, at least on Earth.
so
But now it's very complicated. What did you say?
these children that are born, whether they have Pleiadian fathers or whatever race line,
All different race lines.
um, when we go through this ascension, this rising, 2039 to 2040, those children would still be going to Teraha, not back to the Pleiadian,
That's if they rise, they go there. Yes.
to Teraha. They don't go that because there's been so much talk on Earth saying that they are not fourth dimensional; they're really fifth dimensional because they are Pleiadian children. But that's not true.
It's too complex. It's very simple.
They're born
You make it
here,
very
so-
simple on yourself, and those that are ready to rise will rise at that time. Now, there will be a split in the race line at that period. Some people are not going to be ready to rise and they will stay third dimensional. Others will move to Teraha, and the race will be different. So there will be a split in humanity at that time.
I'm just presenting to you a belief that's out there that makes it very difficult
Well-
to talk about this because they believe they're fifth dimensional, so they believe they're going back to the fifth dimension. So they
Well,
don't
they
believe
believe they're
that's
they believe this planet is already fourth dimensional, and so they're moving to fifth dimension. However, the fourth dimensional energies have only begun during the ascension period as well. So they both started at very similar times. And so the fourth dimensional energy is not strong enough to make you fourth dimensional beings yet. You are still in the third dimension. Many of them think, I am already fourth dimensional, so I'm going to the fifth dimension. But they are misdirected.
And so, in comparison, a mother and father having the child, say a plague that had Pleiadian DNA, compare that to myself. I had a creator being mother and a father from Ursa Major,
Yes.
and so I was born like them, and I had a hard time fitting in, just like they do.
Correct.
So I'm very similar to that in a way.
Well, you're a hybrid, yes. But you're a creator being hybrid, not a species hybrid. So it's the same difference in the sense that you will have a hard time getting to know third dimension because you're from such a higher dimension. And coming through, you don't understand this dimension. It seems harsh. It seems unreal. It seems like you want to turn around and go back home. You want to say, I don't want to live here. I can't function here properly. So that is what you felt as a child. It was like, I can't function here. Of course, you didn't say, I don't want to live here. You were just saying, why is everything so difficult? Why is everything like this? I don't understand it. This doesn't seem right. All these thoughts go through your mind as a child, but you don't know why.
And it's never stopped.
Well, of course not.
Still.
It never will. Being a creator person, or even an alien from higher dimensions, a hybrid into human life form, is very difficult for whoever chooses to do it. There are even some angelic beings that have hybridized into this planet. This planet was supposed to be originally an angel human planet from the very beginning, but that never worked out properly for many different reasons. And that was millions of years ago, but just didn't happen.
So again, the hybrid children, you're talking about hybrid children that were born since the 60s, the indigo children, the
Well,
crystal
there was
children.
a few in the 60s, a few in the 70s, but in the 80s and 90s it started to pick up.
But I was born in the 50s. So
Well,
there,
you were, yes, it doesn't matter when you were born. You can be a creator being no matter what.
but
The
I,
creator realm beings needed to start being born in around the 50s so that this period of time they would have a grasp on um, the ascension process and be a light in the world to keep it going.
but my question is that was considered a hybrid child too when creator beings were born.
No, of course,
The
yes.
same as
But that is a
the
creator hybrid. Other hybrids didn't start till a little later. The creator hybrids started a little earlier.
So would the people that were born before the 50s, they were not hybrids then?
They were not considered hybrid, but like your mother was a creator being. That was a hybrid, but the creator realm hybrids were different than the species hybrids.
So there were other creator beings like my mother, the ones to be the parents of
Yes,
hybrid.
there were some actually uh, adult hybrids in the 60s and 50s that started the movements toward the new age, started speaking the Seth, Jane, whatever her name was, Goodall, Jane, somebody, Roberts, I think,
Yeah.
that did the Seth materials. That was ahead of its time, but it was necessary to start the movements that were necessary for the future to get to this point.
Was she a creator being?
Yes,
Oh, Jane Roberts was a creator being.
yes,
Oh, I didn't know
yes, and she brought through Seth.
that.
She and her husband dictated the channelings. So it was very, very interesting that he came through so clearly. But it was necessary to start the movements toward the new age.
Oh. Who were some of the other creator beings that were very early?
Well, I know her because she was one of the ones that made the greatest
But I mean
influences.
anybody that like that I would have heard of. Were there others?
Oh, there are others, but I do not remember them straight offhand. But there was quite a few. Well, I shouldn't say quite a few. I should say a handful that were open. Like here, you have uh, many different opinions about who would be a creator being back then, but some of them were not just to give information about the new age, but some of them were there to open up the thought processes of humanity. So you have your Einsteins, your who was a creator being, and others of that ilk, Tesla, etc.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for names of creator beings. Like,
Yes.
I don't because there was a lot of great people. Like was Abraham Lincoln a creator being? George
No.
Washington? Any of the presidents?
George Washington might have been, but I know that Lincoln was not. Um,
Kennedy.
although he was a great man on your world, he was not a creator being.
Some people think the Kennedy family might have had some creator beings. Are there any creator
They had
beings?
some creator elementations in them as well, but not the father, but the son. Robert Kennedy
Kennedy.
was the creator being.
Ah.
Bobby.
So that rumor is true. That's what people are
Yes.
talking about. Robert Kennedy was a creator being.
You see, Bobby Kennedy actually was the creator being there. He was actually the organizer, the mind behind many things that happened. Not John F. Kennedy's father, although John F. Kennedy's father was pushed him and made him what he was. Bobby was actually the one that helped shape him, even though he was younger. He had a greater mind for politics than John did, and so was the creator being in that family.
So there've been a lot of us out there.
Yes.
And William Shakespeare, my brother, William
Yeah.
Shakespeare, what would have his mission been if he had done it? Would he have done
He was
something
to be
great?
he was to be a writer, but he was going to be writing about uh, the earth energies. He writing about he actually has some mathematical properties to him as well. You may not see this, but your brother was quite brilliant. He had some very interesting things about him, and he could have been a great writer if he was pushed. Your mother held him back. She actually, being a creator being that didn't understand what she was supposed to do, pushed him into a place where he didn't know, he was confused about himself. So it was not a good thing.
He actually has some mathematical knowledge within him
Yes.
about algorithms and things like that.
Yes.
Hmm. And it seems like I got it, not him.
Yes, you have some too, of course.
I'm the one that's taken all the interest in the whole light, sound,
Yeah.
algorithm,
Well,
mathematical.
fortunately,
formulas.
you developed differently. After your accident with the horse, they were able to control your brain a little better. Your brain was taken over by the creator's side.
So that was the difference. I was.
Yes. But otherwise, she would have held you back as well.
Yeah, I basically never listened to a word my family said.
You broke free after that.
Well, the truth was, is it was like I was just in a coma for years. I didn't know who I was because I wasn't me anymore. So when I went back to high school, I didn't know those people. I really didn't. I didn't remember anybody. I didn't know who my friends were, who my enemies were. It was just like starting over again. And I felt like the people in my family didn't know who I was at all. It felt like I was just a stranger living in this strange place. So just listening to God was all I had. I didn't know what
Of
was
course.
going on. So it was very much like when hybrid children are first born. I was born again.
Yes, of course.
I went through it again.